people next in line, lower class and social slime. They don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one leaves countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and this is Thursday, November the 5th, 2015, and I got to say, it's an awful beautiful week we've had so far. It's really warm, and I'm sure the green hyenas, I guess, are just chomping at the bit, headed for Paris. It was warm, oh goody, it was warm. Now we can shove global warming down people's throat, and we can charge them carbon tax on every breath they exhale, and every time they drive their car, and every time they cook some toast, and every time they had a bath. This is going to be fun for them, I guess. But, you know, it's funny that I'm saying that the great majority of people, the large majority of people, do not believe in climate change. They may have at one time, but time has gone and nothing's happened, and they've been promoting this for seems like ever now, and nothing's happened. So those that are still pushing global warming, climate change, are either severely indoctrinated or financially attached to this thing. And so there's just this small little handful of lunatics going to Paris. But they're a dangerous bunch of lunatics because they're your government. And of course they care. And they want to save you from global warming and climate change because they care. So they're going to go there and they're going to see what they can accomplish this time. Justin the Puppet Trudeau has gathered up his gaggle of indoctrinated idiots, globalists, criminals, deceivers. And I could really use some really, really rude names, but I'm not gonna. But they're all going to Paris. And I hope they have fun there. They may not have so much fun when they get home and start implementing this nonsense. Now, Mr. Trudeau is a dangerous little fart because he's a stupid little fart. And there's nothing more dangerous than a stupid little fart that's in control of things. A crazy little Caesar, maybe. But he's definitely dangerous. He's definitely stupid. And he has been brought up through his life, exposed to these indoctrinated idiots, these agents who are pushing the global agenda. He doesn't know nothing about nothing. You know, he's still a kid. All you do is listen to him speak. I mean, Harper was no different. You know, you could almost see the strings being pulled and the lips going up and down. I don't know that these guys have a clue what's even coming out of their mouth because it's all scripted. So, he's put together this cabinet. I haven't got a chance to, I've been busy. I haven't had a chance to go through all these clowns yet. But one thing I want to put, and I don't care what country you're in, I'm going to stuff this in here into the chat. and this pretty much nails it. It's a good little clip. And what it does is it spells out government. Now, what this is this guy is becoming the minister of whatever, military minister. He's a Sikh. He's got a turban on his head. He's in Canada. But none of that really matters. He might be a really nice guy. Who knows? But it's the oath. I'm going to put this in the chat, which looks like I'm going to have to reboot here again. And I'm going to put this in the chat because, and I'm also going to go back and get from there what I put in the chat with it. Or I posted this to YouTube yesterday, and it's been getting a gutload of hits, which is good because that people aren't fighting with me anymore, seemingly. You know, I'm not getting called what do you call those things, tin hats or conspiracy theorists much anymore, which is a good sign because I went through years of that nonsense. And it means that people are finally going, what the hell's going on? And more people are finding they're working harder and harder and harder and not... And they're working hard just to try to keep a roof over their head and keep their kids fed. So this idea of work and, work hard and save your money and most people now, I don't know if it's most people, but an awful pile of people, and the percentage seems to be growing, are working their tails off just to survive. Yeah, so am I, Joe. So am I. And I haven't been able to work that much in the last 10 years because I dedicated myself to getting to the bottom of what the hell's going on. It's been tough, but it has to get done. So this guy takes his oath, and I don't care what country you're in. If you're in the United States, that oath is to the state, not to the people. Okay? The oath that all the politicians and the police and that take is to the state. And some, the people down in the states say that their sheriffs are elected. Yeah, they're elected to serve the state. Okay? Everybody's elected to serve the state. And in Canada here, the Queen, Crown, is, and she's a sole corporation, is who these guys take an oath to. So if you're taking an oath to the Queen, who is supposed to be nothing more than a figurehead, and has no capacity whatsoever on these lands, then why would you be taking an oath to her? Why would you be taking an oath to somebody that is just figurehead, just a entity that doesn't have any pull in this country? Total deception. It's like when I was first out in the UN years and years and years ago, people say, "Oh, well, yeah, well, maybe, but the UN has no teeth. You know, they can't tell anybody what to do." Not only did that guy swear his oath to the Queen, he swore an oath of secrecy, okay? Because the cabinet boys all end up in the Privy Council, which is the Queen's Council, not the People's Council, the Queen's Council. The people don't have a council. The Queen has a council and everybody working for the Queen. But everybody that goes into that Privy Council takes an oath of secrecy for life. And once you're in the Privy Council, you're in there for life. Now, how are these people that are taking a secret oath or an oath of secrecy for life supposed to be representing the people? How can you take an oath of secrecy for life to this so-called figurehead that doesn't have any authority in Canada, supposedly? How is that even possible? Well, it's not possible. It's all deception. The Queen is the head of state. The Queen's running the show. These clowns work for the Queen. The Queen is up to her behind pushing the UN. I mean, Harper last year appointed her son, Prince Big Ears Philip, who's a lunatic. And the Queen's husband, Philip's father, has been in the Privy Council here since 1957. That's the crazy bugger that wants to come back after he dies as a deadly virus to cull the human population. But they smile at you and wave at you and tell you they care about you. They don't give a sweet bejesus about you, or they wouldn't be doing this to you. So they're psychopaths and they are sociopaths, because only that breed of people can smile at you while they're lying to you and planning extremely devious things for you, which are all designed to harm you. And these are the people we're supposed to look up to. These are the people that people go, well, I should write a letter to the minister of so-and-so. Why? He can't even hear you. He don't work for you. What's he care what you send him? He does the bidding of the Queen, Canada, the United States, and everybody, I guess, except maybe North Korea, but North Korea is working with the UN now. So you might as well just say every country on the planet is a member of the United Nations, a member state of the United Nations, and they've all agreed to do the bidding of what the United Nations wants. So the Queen's hooked up. I mean, these are part of the people that created the UN. And it's all about empire, the final freaking empire. Where instead of being a slave to the state, you're now slave to the global state. And if you think it was stupid being a slave or a subject, which is in a subservient position, which is a slave, that's how it reads out in the dictionaries. So being a slave of your particular state, they're demolishing all states, and you will be they call it, be a global citizen. Well, citizen has the same meaning as subject. They're interchangeable words. So if you're a citizen of your state, you're a subject to the state, and that makes you subservient to the state. And that makes you a slave to the state. So now we're going to up the ante a little bit, and we'll make you global citizens, subject to the global elite, which puts you in a position of servitude, which is slavery. So, we need to kind of clean house here a little bit. And I would like to see people starting to pull off, new elections. New elections. Election where you don't register to the state to vote, because when you register to the state, you're not the one voting. Okay? You don't vote when you register. What you registered votes. You vote as an agent of what you registered, so you never voted. So I'm thinking it's time we started some real votes where you can record your vote, but you don't register some corporate entity that was made up for you to hold you in servitude and slavery all your life. Not that vote, because that's a false vote. So they say, well, you voted us in. Well, no, we didn't vote you in because according to your own rules, we don't have the capacity to vote you in. So we didn't vote for you. So therefore, you can't pass any rules, regulations, and so-called color enforce the law. You can't do it. Just like the debt. The debt's phony, the vote's phony, the government's phony. And they were all created to enslave you. So what we do with it is our business, right? But we got to get moving forward here a little bit, because while we've been watching hockey games and football games and Dr. Phil and Pickers and whatever else is on TV, and having our beer and a pizza and that, they've been putting people from outside your lands into powerful positions, and they've been working in the background, and the lawyers and the international lawyers have been working in the background to finalize their international laws, which will affect everyone because everything's being internationalized. The death of the nation states, just as they planned. So it is World War III, and we can turn on the TV or the internet or whatever and see all kinds of stories where bombing Syria. And now that's a very serious subject, Syria, because I see all this nonsense about, that really makes me want to kind of get ill, about Putin being a hero somehow. Okay? They're both on the same side. Okay? They're both on the same side. Mikhail Gorbachev, who was head of Russia, who said that because of the change-up, because of Gorbachev, the Iron Curtain fell, and because of that, the Berlin Wall fell. Total fraud, total setup, okay? So we go back, and Warburg there in 50 said at the Senate hearing that we can't have a world government with two opposing sides. Can't do it. So Gorbachev was as head of Green Cross, which is the eastern part of the Green Movement, and Morris Strong is kind of like the western side of the Green Movement. And both Gorbachev and Morris Strong, and there was a Rothschild involved in that, and David Suzuki's daughter, all signed the Earth Charter. So they're all on the same page. So this nonsense of Putin being a hero, they're all on the same side. This thing about China is going to invade or do this or that, it's all smoke and mirrors. Morris Strong and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, they run China just like they run every other damn place. Okay? So all of these guys are on the same side. They're just putting out the smoke and mirrors, the right-left paradigm, the good-evil paradigm, okay? Always two wings on the same damn bird, okay? So all of this nonsense that people are watching and paying attention to is all bunk. It's all an act. They are the actors. We, once again, are the audience. They change the act, and we go, ooh, Putin. Oh, my God, China. Oh, my God, Iran. These people are all members of the United Nations. They're all players out of the United Nations who wish to form a world government. and as Warburg said, by conquest or by consent, take your pick. So they're bombing the snot out of the people that don't want to come aboard, and they're using psychology to get us idiots in the West to consent. You know, a guy in the jungle in Africa's got more smarts than we do. He knows that man-made global warming doesn't exist. Okay, he knows that. He's probably had stories passed down through the ages from his family members telling them how it was really cold this decade and was really warm this decade and was really wet that decade, it was really dry this decade. But see, these guys understand cycles because they live in them. Okay? They're not living in nice, warm, cozy houses and that, and with air conditioners, all this kind of stuff, so that their environment is actually taken away from us. These people live in their environment. They get it. They get this climate change stuff. You know, one year they get rained out. The next year we have a good year. Then they have a drought of sorts or whatever. It's cold. It's hot. It's dry. It's wet. It's dry. It's muggy. This goes on. But through our wonderful school systems and that, people are indoctrinated because see, they don't have a connection to the stories of old from their families. That's all been taken away from them, and they just go to school and they get told stuff like Kennedy just died in office, and the people there at the university didn't have no clue the man was assassinated. And that's a university. Okay? Always revising the history. And in the old days, the stories were passed down. It wasn't revisionist history. It was what these people experienced. Well, we've had our experiences taken away, and they manufacture our experiences now. So we really don't have any basis to we don't have any markers left. So I'm going to have to listen to it and put it up, but I had a most amazing talk yesterday morning with a gentleman from the Ministry of Education in Ontario. Excuse me. And he was one of these people that work on the curriculum. And that's what I wanted to talk about, and I just happened to get put through to somebody that's working on that. And he's an ex-teacher, and it was a rather amazing conversation because it started out good and it kind of ended good, and it was good in the middle. But I was asking him, like, how is the curriculum set? Like, who sets the curriculum? Is it the school boards? I mean, who sets this curriculum? Who decides what's going to be taught in the schools? Because whoever you're choosing this from, you're choosing it from the wrong people. But who are these people that actually set the curriculum? And why? Well, he almost instantly jumped onto global warming. I didn't ever bring up global warming. I was asking who and why and how this curriculum gets set. But he got onto global warming and strip mining and saving the planet. And I'm thinking, I don't recall asking him any of this stuff. But we got around that after a bit and got into a conversation. I said, who are these people? Well, they're stakeholders. And I said, well, what exactly do you describe as a stakeholder? Well, maybe people from the university or business groups or, places like the UN, I think, and different factions. Some are private, some are public. And so they all get together and they influence the curriculum. So what you're telling me is you have a bunch of people who want to push the idea of climate change, so somehow they got that into the curriculum. And when I asked them about, how come is it my two nieces in grade 9 and 10 can't write? They can only print. How is that possible? And he said, well, kind of like, well, that is kind of odd, but I think what they were doing is that because we have keyboards and computers and that and handheld devices that you really don't need to write anymore. And I said, well, the whole point of writing was that you could communicate quickly and add your own style to it. And he says, well, yes, and it was very, very good. And then he went on about the reason they had cursory writing in the first place was to extend the British Empire or something. Oh, well, that's interesting. So, you know, it was a really interesting talk, and he was telling me about you know, I should watch a TEDx show. Well, you know, sorry, bud, but like TEDx is part of the problem. They're a propaganda pusher. And then we got into what he knows kind of thing and why he knows what he knows. And then we talked about Prussia. And we talked about a whole bunch of stuff. And then he starts telling me, then he's starting to come over to my side, which is nice. Because a lot of what I'm telling him, he didn't know about. But he's a teacher. And I said, see, there's the problem. You were a teacher, and the teachers are teaching what they're told to teach. They don't ask why they're teaching what they're told to teach. They just do it, which isn't really a teacher, right? A teacher knows what they're teaching and why they're teaching it, and they're absolutely certain what they're teaching is correct. But the teachers don't question. That's the whole problem. Nobody questions anything. So as we went along, at one point he seemed rather impressed with my knowledge base. We went through a lot of stuff. He was. I got to tell you, when we left that conversation, we were impressed with each other. I was impressed with him for hanging in there, and he's telling me that I need to run. I need to be in the government, which I thought was kind of odd. But I told him I'm not allowed to be in the government because they vet everybody, and I've already been vetted, and I ain't on that side, so I can't be in government ever. And but when we're done, he's going, and I had to leave. I could have talked to this guy for another hour, but he thanked me a lot. And said that I gave him an whole new way of thinking and a whole bunch of new things to think about regarding the children and that. And I said, because the children, that can't be. I got to stop. I got to butt in on myself if that's possible. I just saw a terrible story here. I don't know if it's true or not, but I see a story here that some Canadian was caught transporting maple syrup. Damn, eh? And blueberries. Wow. It's getting tough out there. But anyways, I really enjoyed that, so I'm going to go through that audio that I recorded with this teacher, and I'll probably end up putting it up on YouTube or whatever. So, we'll go from there. And it was interesting. I have to listen to it again because when we hung up, I may call that guy again because it sounds like a guy that is trying to think, and he's in a position where he's not supposed to think, and that happens everywhere. I mean, in the government, so-called government. The government leaders don't know squat. They only know what they're told. And they're not allowed to hear what the people are saying. Okay, these people are stuck in a closet, and they're only allowed to come out of that closet when it's time for them to spew off whatever it was they were told to spew off. They're really rather ridiculously stupid. And we're stuck with it. Now, there was a story that I really wanted to do if I can dig it out of here. But here is from the National Observer. Canada's Environment Minister, Catherine McKenna, has a big green agenda. Oh, that sounds good. And anyways, she's apparently our new environment minister. She's a lawyer, which doesn't bode well for the people. But anyways, it goes on here real quick. Canada's new Minister of Environment and Climate Change. You see that added that in. The environment and climate change. Wow. I thought climate was part of the environment. No. It's a separate subject. Totally different, you know. Because normally it would say Canada's new Minister of Environment, which you would think includes everything in the environment. But no, climate change is a separate entity, and it is. Because it ain't got nothing to do with the environment. Not their climate change anyways. Anyway, she's an Ottawa MP and lawyer. She was confirmed at a historic swearing-in ceremony at Rideau Hall on Wednesday that saw several Trudeau cabinet ministers declared, and again, she will take that oath of secrecy. She's in the cabinet, so she will be in the Privy Council for life in the Queen's Council. She has a large number of climate, clean tech, and environmental protection promises to fulfill that were made during the election. They include a price on carbon. That's what you exhale. A pledge to reverse Canada's international reputation as a climate laggard. And a $2 billion low-carbon economy trust to help kickstart a clean tech boom. I'm really thrilled, not me, reacted Sierra Club Canada Foundation's interim executive director, Diane Beckett from Ottawa. She's not only the Minister of Environment, says Beckett, she's the Minister, drum roll, she's the Minister of, ready for it? Climate change. So she's not just the Minister of Environment, says this nutcase from the Sierra Club. The environment might be important, but what's really important is she's the Minister of Climate Change. Climate change is her most urgent priority because it is the defining issue of our generation. Whether or not we get it right will determine the survival of the human species. It is also urgent because the negotiations are happening in Paris in just a few weeks. And Canada has been a laggard for almost 20 years. Slap, slap, whip, whip. It's urgent that we recognize that people in the global south are already dying from climate change. And we have to provide them with the resources to deal with that, as well as reduce emissions. Now, I don't know what part of this global south she's talking about. You see, you used to say, people in Peru have a drought going on and some people died, or somebody in Argentina just got whacked by a dirty government. That, I guess, could be classed as climate change, too, because every death changes the climate, obviously. But no, we don't discuss countries anymore. We discuss global areas. So people are dying in the global south because of climate change. Well, climate change is a loony word, a loony phrase, and the global south. What exactly are you talking about? Because if I look on the map, I can spin that globe around. I can keep sticking my finger and stopping the globe, and I ain't gonna find no place called the global south. Nor am I going to find anybody that's a global citizen, although there's a few people that claim to be. It's urgent that we recognize, I already did that. Likewise, Clean Energy Canada executive Marion Smith said Canada's law background will be invaluable at UN climate treaty talks. She's also hopeful McKenna's appointment is a sign of good things to come in sustainable energy. Clean energy jobs in the country already outpace oil sands jobs, she's often noted. Canada has vast untapped clean energy potential in developing these resources in both the key Climate solution and important economic opportunity, said Smith in his statement. McKenna is expected to go to Bonn, Germany next week for minister-level international talks about climate change. I would suspect that behind closed doors, it's pretty funny for them as they're drinking good liquor and eating good food, not this crap we're eating, but real food, rolling on the floor laughing. Did you hear what I said about climate change? I can't believe that crap came out of my mouth. And, of course, the media is going to print anything we say about climate change. This is way too funny, guys. Hey, Gorbachev, is this funny or what? Yeah, hey, Gore, what are you doing? Oh, man, we're getting carbon. I, man, was the guy who started the carbon trading. This is going to be great. Remember that stupid thing you said when you were up on that lift on that big screen yapping off about inconvenient? Do you remember that, Gore? Jesus, I was wanting another drink. These are the kind of lunatics we're dealing with. They're nuts. They're dangerous as hell, but they're nuts. Anyways, let's see. She recently led Canadian lawyers abroad. I wish she would have took them abroad and left them abroad, because the sooner we get rid of all the lawyers, the better. But I guess they came back. But anyways, well, they're over there, abroad. I don't know where abroad is. Do you know where abroad is? She recently led Canadian lawyers abroad. Was that to the global south abroad? Abroad where? Find me abroad on the map. Not that kind of broad. But they went abroad and taught a course on global civil society to graduate students at the Munk School of Global Affairs. Okay, and the Munk School is, this is Peter Munk, I think his name is. This is Mr. Gold Monk. This is the monk that goes around destroying people's lives as they dig for gold in small countries where people shoot anybody that would protest having their lands ripped apart by Monk and his buddies. But Monk's a big player and a big investor and gets away with bloody murder around the world because he's a player. She's also been a board member of the Trudeau Center of Peace and Conflict Studies. The mother of three has also worked internationally as a legal advisor for the UN in East Timor and on trade issues in Indonesia, according to her website. Green MP Elizabeth May was likewise pleased with the selection. This is more than symbolism, says May. I may choke on this, so bear with me. Just as Norway's Prime Minister, Dr. Gro Harlem Brundtland, did in appointing a cabinet with gender balance in the 1980s, Prime Minister Trudeau is striking a significant blow for women's equalities. I welcome the new government and look forward to working with Mr. Trudeau and the cabinet to start repairing Canada's international reputation at the upcoming climate negotiations, wrote May in a statement. Well, let's get this straight. Gro Brundtland was the president of Norway. Gro Brundtland was the vice president of Socialists International. Gro Brundtland was the one in charge of the paper, book, whatever you want to call it, called Our Common Future. And that book, although her name's on it, she was the director or the head of the deal. Most of that book was written by Rockefeller, Morris Strong, Jim McNeil. Jim McNeil's a player that most people have never heard of Jim McNeil. And he's written, right after the Gro Brundtland report, he wrote a book called Global Interdependency or something to do with interdependency. This guy's all over the place. And presently, I think he's in Winnipeg, Canada, with the IISD, the International Institute for Sustainable Development, of which most people in North America have never even bloody well heard of. How's that possible? well, you would have got ticked off. How did the media miss that? Oh, the media didn't miss it. Okay? The media are the prostitutes of the rich men. We're the commoners. We're not supposed to know what they don't want us to know. So anyways, this is good because, Elizabeth May was a signator on the Earth Charter with Rothschild and Gorbachev and Morris Strong, Suzuki's daughter, and a bunch of other people. So she's all giddy about this. So Grover Brundtland brought us Our Common Future, which gave us this vague, ambiguous term about sustainable development, which nobody's ever really been able to define. Okay? Living today and only using what we need to make sure people in the future have whatever. I don't remember the exact quote, but some UN-style gibberish. She was also a big player in the UN. I forget exactly what her title was at the UN. These people are all stroking themselves. But the funny part about this is all the negative noise about the conservatives, who are, again, just the other wing, but this isn't something the conservatives could pull off. So this is right, left, hate the conservatives because they're destroying our climate, because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Well, in fact, they've done far more than any other party has ever done as far as moving this global warming climate change program forward. It was a conservative, Brian Mulroney, who brought us, through Morris Strong, from Rio, Agenda 21. And then Mulroney returned to favor by appointing him to the Privy Council, which is the Queen's Council. So we have the Undersecretary General or whatever, Morris Strong at one time, who is now on the Queen's Council. Any connection to the Queen here? Any connection between the Queen and the United Nations? Totally. So, and Harper appointed another UN player, one who signed or did the forward for Local Agenda 21, who came from the UN, back to Ontario, signing papers with Morris Strong again, is sitting in place of Queen as Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. And she stated, before she became Lieutenant Governor, that she was sick of this UN incremental nonsense. We're going too slow. Let's just get it done. Okay, so now we got all these idiot players in place who are just chomping at the bit to get to Paris. Elizabeth May is the leader of the Green Party. What's the leader of the Liberal Party doing, inviting the leader of the Green Party to come to Paris? Why are all of our so-called ministers running around all over hell's half acre? Why aren't they doing something working here in this land? Well, because they're internationalists. We got our premiers here running back and forth to Europe and over to California, cutting deals. They don't have any authority to do that. But they're doing it because they're working for the UN. Anyways, during the election, the Liberals pledged to use scientific evidence and the precautionary principle. And if Kathy's in the chat, I'm sure she is just chomping at the bit over that one. The precautionary principle. And I got to get Kathy on here so we can go through that again, because it's time we went through the precautionary principle again, and nobody can do it better than Kathy. And I'm not going to spend any time on that. But the one that came up with the precautionary principle, Marc Lalonde, was, again, along with Pierre Trudeau, members of the Club of Rome. And to take into account climate change when making big decisions. We need to take real action on climate change, Trudeau said this summer while announcing his party's green platform in Vancouver. It's time Canada put a price on carbon pollution, says Mr. Trudeau. Now, I don't know what school Mr. Trudeau went to, but this guy is exactly the same type of indoctrinated nutcase that David Suzuki's daughter is. I mean, here's a little girl that stood at the Rio Rio in 1992 as a 12-year-old child, bitching at everybody in the world that we're killing the planet, and she's only a kid, and she can't do nothing about it right now. But now, what would a 12-year-old child possibly know about global warming or climate change or any effect it may have in the future on the planet? I'll tell you how much. None. Hell, I got nieces that come through the education system here in Ontario, and they're grade 9 and 10, and they don't even know what cursive writing is. But we all listen to this little girl in 1992. Ooh. But then Daddy's been running nature things for years and years and years, telling everybody that the problem is man is the problem. Humans are the problem. I wouldn't have to do the show if there weren't any humans here to disturb the animals. So this is the kind of indoctrination this kid got brought up through. Trudeau, his daddy was Jesuit trained. Daddy's a member of Club of Rome. Daddy was one of these guys running around India with the sandals on and all this kind of stuff, right? And so little Pierre, little Justin, is just another indoctrinated nutcase. What do they call that? I forget what they call that. That ultra program or whatever of indoctrination and psychological screw-ups. All you got to do is listen to Trudeau speak. And in fact, you can basically listen to any politician speak, and you know they don't know what the hell's going on, right? This is what we're going to do. Based on what? Scientific evidence. Did you look at the evidence? I don't even know what science means. I just print. I came up through the education system. I don't know nothing, but the scientists tell us everything, and we just believe them because we're too stupid to question them. If we do question, people yell at us. Anyways, here's what Trudeau's expected to do. Trudeau's expected to go to the Paris COP21 summit with provincial premiers not facing an immediate election, including BC's Christy Clark, who the people in BC would like to put up a rope on a very large old cedar tree, redwood, and just chuck her off the limb and see where she lands. Hopefully they don't have enough rope to get all the way to the ground. Alberta's Rachel Notley, whose daddy was in the government type business, and she's a complete lunatic. And I'm not sure she's a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer as well. Manitoba's Greg Sellinger, Ontario's Kathleen Wynne, who is completely out of her mind, and Quebec Philippe Couillard, who him and the Premier of Ontario are dancing down to California to cut deals. Well, I mean, in all of America, is there a crazier place in California? Is there a more communist, Marxist, socialist place in America than California? I don't think so. Where did they sign onto the UN? In California. Take it from there. What do you got? What do you got for leaders in California? Actors? I mean, how it's going to make an amazing movie someday. I can guarantee you, it's going to make the most amazing movie. Anyways, 90 days after the Paris Climate Change Conference, Trudeau will establish a pan-Canadian framework for tracking global warming. The Liberals have also promised to undo caustic relations with provinces over climate change, where provincial officials have said they have felt left out by the Harper government. And again, the Harper government has done more, not the Harper government, well, he did quite a bit in the background to move this UN agenda forward. But they didn't put that in the paper because that's not what the Conservatives are supposed to do. Okay? But that's what the left's supposed to do. So the right sets it up so when the left comes in, everything's in place. Let's go, boys. Crucially, Liberals have not proclaimed a national greenhouse gas target for Canada yet. They've stated they want to consult heavily with the provinces, which are each pursuing different greenhouse gas reducing policies, a carbon tax in BC, for example, and in Quebec and Ontario, a cap and trade scheme with California. Now, how in the hell could the province of Ontario and the province of Quebec, which supposedly are in a separate company, or separate company, yeah, separate country, be working together in a cap and trade scheme with California? Okay, but that's the coming together of our nations. Now, Joe Clark, who was a conservative again, a conservative prime minister. I have a clip of him on a committee in California trying to figure out how they're going to move the North American Union forward. And they're using climate and carbon to fuse us together. The NDP says it will be pushing the new government for a target as soon as possible. As the Paris Summit conference approaches, the new Minister of the Environment has an opportunity to put Canada back on the right track and will need to set ambitious long-term targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, wrote NDP MP Finn Donnelly on Wednesday. Former Liberal Environment Minister Stéphane Dion, who was the leader, I think, at one time of the Liberals. Yes, he was, and he didn't win. So when Stephen Harper got in, or in one of the elections, but he was the environment minister. He is tied up with the UN in his entire freaking career. So he shows up again. See, people think these people go away. They don't go away. He's in the Privy Council. I believe he's in the Privy Council. Pretty damn sure he is. So they're stacking their people now for the final kill. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Will also chair, Stéphane Dion, will also chair a cabinet committee on environment, climate change, and energy that will steer thorny issues about oil sands, climate change, and pollution, the Ottawa Citizen reported. The Liberals have pledged to create a new $2 billion low-carbon economy trust to fund projects that materially reduce carbon emissions. The party also committed to phasing out many fossil fuel subsidies once we eliminate the Canadian Development Expenses Tax Deduction and the Canadian Exploration Expenses Tax Deduction, except in case of unsuccessful exploration. We will have fulfilled Canada's G20 commitment to phase out inefficient subsidies for fossil fuel industry. Yada, yada, yada. New environment assessments. I'm going to run out of time here. Liberal leaders have promised to immediately redo how Canada evaluates major oil pipelines and other industrial projects, introduce new fair processes, the platform document. Now, modernize the National Energy Board, ensuring that its composition reflects regional views, has sufficient expertise in fields like environmental science, community development, and indigenous traditional knowledge. This is all UN crap. End the practice of having federal ministers interfere in an environmental assessment process. Ensure that the government assessments include an analysis of upstream impacts and greenhouse gas emissions resulting from projects. Water, you don't get any. Okay, I'll tell you about it takes care of water. restore funding for freshwater research, a program that was cut by the Conservatives, boo-hoo, bad guys, and make new investment in Canada's world-leading IISD experimental lakes area. Now, if you don't know who the IISD is yet, go look it up. The International Institute for Sustainable Development. The International Institute for Sustainable Development, right in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I'm sure most people in Winnipeg, Manitoba don't even know the damn thing exists. These are the boys working in the shadows, moving that agenda forward. National parks, jobs. Let's see what we got. 55. Trudeau pledged to slash funding for 150th birthday of Canada. Celebrating in order to finance free admission to national parks in 2017. In 2018, admission for children under 18 will be free. A Liberal government is also expected to create the first urban national park in Toronto, called the, I don't know what a national park. Liberals promised to invest $100 million more each year in clean tech that creates jobs, and have also pledged to put $200 million into greening technologies in energy, mining, forestry, fishing, and agriculture sectors. Add electric vehicle charging stations at federal government parking lots, and rapidly expand federal fleet of electric vehicles. Create a Canadian energy strategy to protect Canada's energy security and encourage conservation. Well, that's just one little story. I didn't mean to. I just get going on this stuff. But that is, our environmental minister is a lawyer who likes to run around the world, and she is worried about the global south and goes abroad somewhere to teach. These people have all been sitting in the background. Some of them have been in the forefront before and got tossed and went back in the background. People forgot about them, thought they didn't exist anymore. They didn't go anywhere, okay? These people have always been involved in this, and they'll be involved in it until their last breath. And they are a danger to everybody. And I don't care what country you live in, there are all kinds of people like Trudeau and May and Canada's new Environment Minister, Catherine McKenna, who have a big, as this headline says, have a big green agenda. You know, and if you look inside a watermelon that is green, you will see that the flesh inside of that watermelon is red. And these are the Reds. These are the global revolutionaries who are bound on taking down every country on the planet and molding the people of those countries into useful whatever for the globalists. And you will be under international law, they say. Although that doesn't have, if you look at it with a clear mind, they can write whatever they want. But what bearing does it have on you or I? Well, they have the force of law. That's the problem. That's what they've always only had, fear and force. Well, fewer and fewer people fear them anymore. And a lot of the force is starting to question what the hell's going on. Because when they get out of the uniform, they go home to their family, and they see how things are going, well, they're starting to ask questions as well. So, we're out of time, so I'll say this again. Keep talking, keep teaching, keep shining the light. We win. Because there's no option, and we're supposed to win. Everybody just stay at it. We're on a roll here now. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and we shall see where am I on next? Saturday night on Revolution Radio from 10 to midnight, and we'll pass back to Take care, everybody. Keep reading, and we'll be coming up. Take care. Bye-bye.